if you're interested in improving your pronunciation for the end of a word that has a S sound or letter, then this video can help you. This video is similar to the one we did that has the pronunciation for ED endings. The patterns are similar. So for this video, I'm just going to show you how to pronounce the end of a word that has an S at the end. There's 3 sounds that we use at the end of a word that ends with an S, okay? But I'm going to try to break it down for you and make it simple. And I will be using a little bit of IPA, which is the International Phonetic Alphabet. But if you don't know IPA, it's okay. I'm going to make the sounds anyway. Okay, so like I said, there's 3 endings, pronunciation endings when we have an S at the end of a word. And we have S's at the end of a word a lot in English, by the way, right? Like for plural S's, right? So 1 marker, 2 markers, right? Or for possessive, I want to say Jamie's marker. Or for third person singular on verbs, right? Jamie walks to the store, okay? So it's important, actually, it's not that important to pronounce this correctly. If it's important for you, then it's important, okay? But from a native speaker's perspective who can hear people using the S at the end of a word or not using the S at the end of a word, it does not create that much confusion if you don't pronounce it correctly, just so you know, okay? I mean, maybe we won't hear the plural S and we might want to know how many. It's not a huge interruption in communication, okay? But if you want to learn, here we go. The first sound that we're going to make is a S sound. And like I said, I'm going to use IPA symbols. So this is just representing the sound, okay? We have a sound. We also have a Z sound. And then finally we have a is sound at the end of a word, okay? So when do we use the S? When do we use the Z? And when do we use the is, okay? The way I try to explain it to my students is in the basic, most simple way, is this sound is a voiceless sound. That means that there is no sound coming out of your throat, okay, or your mouth. So if you put your finger here on your throat and go, you will not feel any movement. That means it's voiceless, okay? Whereas this one, if you put your finger right here and go zzz, there's movement. That means it's voiced, okay? And later we're gonna talk about this one because it's special. So we have s, voiceless, and z, voiced, okay? So whenever we have a sound at the end of a word where we need to add an S and the sound has no voice, it's voiceless, then we're gonna put it here because voiceless and voiceless go together. So for example, the word want. If you look at the last sound of that word, what is that sound? Put your finger here. T, t, t. It's voiceless. There's no movement. So we want to match voiceless with voiceless. So when we add the S, it's an S, but what is the pronunciation? The pronunciation is S. So it's wants, wants. It's like a long tss, tss, together, wants, okay? Another example of a voiceless might be book, right? I have 2 books. How do I know to make a sound? Put your finger here. K, k, k. That's a voiceless K. That means we need to add a voiceless S there. So it's books, books, okay? Here's one more. And this one might be tricky. It's not about the last letter that you see, okay? It's about the last sound that you hear. Minute. What's the sound? Is it a T or is it an E? It's a T, right? So, t, t, minute. Again, that's voiceless. So we're gonna add the S, and the S sound is going to be s this time because voiceless and voiceless go together. So remember, you're looking at the last sound of the word, and that will determine what S sound you add. If it's voiceless, you're going to add the voiceless S, okay? Over here, you can probably guess this is a voiced Z, Z, so we need to add a voiced ending of a word to that, okay? So, for example, look at this word, love, love, okay? So if you put your finger right here, the last sound is a sound, and that's voiced because there's a movement there. So that means when we add the S, it's not a S sound, it's a Z sound, okay? Loves, loves. Another one, thing, g, 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 g. G, 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 that's voiced. So when I add the the S pronunciation is things, things, okay? Here's one more. Dream, voiced. Put the S, it's a Z sound, dreams, okay? All right, now moving on over here, we're going to use the is sound at the end of a word that has the sound that will be like this, okay? So for example, I'm going to give you some examples. Face, prize, dish, and then we're going to look at all the letters that we need to remember or know the pattern for. So this is face. What's the last sound you hear? S. Okay, it's voiceless. Okay, here, prize. Okay, it's voiced. Doesn't matter if it's voiced or voiceless for this section, okay? It doesn't matter. For this section, we're looking at, is it a sound? Okay, if it's a sound, the last S is going to be is, okay? If it's a Z sound, then the ending is going to be is. Okay, but this is not one of those sounds. This is a sh sound, okay? So this is a sound that produces friction in your mouth, but these ones do too. The thing about this sound, and some like it, okay, are that the sound, the way you make it in your mouth is you let air out, but your tongue is in the way, so there's some friction, right? Shh, right? It's not just shh, right? Your tongue is in the way, so it's causing friction. But also, your tongue is a little bit further back, okay, for this sound. Shh. It's not touching your teeth. It's not right behind your teeth. It's a little bit further back, okay? And the sounds that are similar to that are, okay, so we have shh, right? We have ch, this one, ch. We have zh, and we have j, j. These sounds are the ones that cause friction in your mouth. Okay, so let me go over them again. Yeah, these cause friction, but they're a little special. So we have s and z, and then we have j, j, j. It's a little bit further back in your mouth, okay, and there's friction. I'm sorry, that's the wrong sound. J, j. This one's j, j. This one's sh, and this is ch, ch, okay? So for these sounds, yeah, they're voiced or voiceless, but what matters is that they cause friction and that the tongue is a little bit further back. So for these ones, the ending of a word that has a S is gonna add a is sound, okay? So for this one, faces, face is, faces. Prize, prizes. Dish, dishes, okay? Oops, we actually have to add an ES when a word ends with a SH, okay? There's spelling rules that go along with this that can help you know that we have to add the is sound in certain cases. Now coming over here for these sounds, remember these are voiceless, okay? So the word endings like p, right? Or t, or k, right? Or f. These are voiceless. They're completely voiceless, no voice, okay? Or the sound. But these are the voiceless sounds that when a word ends with them, you got to add the s sound. Okay, over here, these are voiced. That means we need a voiced ending. A voiced ending is any vowel sound. A, e, I, o, u, many more vowel sounds. Any of those, okay? But also sounds like b, d, g, v, w, right? You see the idea. They're voiced, okay? Over here, this is the tricky part, all right? We have to add the extra vowel when a word ends with one of these special kinds of sounds. Again, j, j, sh, s, z, sh, and ch. So I'm going to redo the pronunciation again of this list, and there's plenty of information online to help you with this, but I hope this gave you a little bit of an idea, a little starter to start paying attention when you're talking or when you're listening. Let's review again the pronunciation. Wants, books, minutes, loves, things, dreams, faces, prizes, dishes. This is just a few words. There's plenty of words you can practice on. And if you're not familiar, again, with these sounds, if you just go on the internet, you can find a little chart that will give you the sound that this will produce. But if you want to stay tuned, I'll do it again. P, t, k, f, over here. B, d, g, v, w, m, n, ng. Here, s, z, sh, ch, j, j. Okay? There's more. I haven't listed them all, but in any case, hopefully this is something that can give you a little bit of a start. Okay? All right. Enjoy. Good luck.